welcome to the 311 Griffin YouTube channel. I have got my coffee here. I've got a little bit of bacon, so if you hear some crunching, that's what that is. It's early Monday morning, and we're going to go through all of the fights I did with Fox 2 or IR missiles in the JF-17. I posted the video of my more successful runs last week, and now I want to go through all of them because I failed more than I won. And often I catch myself just posting the good stuff or maybe even the neutral stuff. And really, we can learn a lot from our failures. And I'm not all that good at this kind of stuff, and so I need to post more of the failures and try to learn a little bit from it. And hopefully other people can too. This video will be a little bit longer, but let's get into this one first. Whoops. So, J11 with R73s. This is on veteran. And I don't think I had labels on this particular fight. I don't really remember. But I was cranking just a little bit. And then I was kind of driving around. There comes the missile shot. It's a pretty easy missile shot. I tried to evade there, you could see. But I didn't know exactly where the missile was, so it got me. So, this is a very similar fight. It's the same fight, I just have labels on. So, I started trying to climb and crank, and this is typically my strategy against a known enemy. And it doesn't really seem to work that well, so I don't know if it's a good idea or not. The theory is that you can crank and it'll require the missile to pull a heavy lead, and if you've got more altitude, it'll cause you to go up. So here comes the first missile. Now I didn't see the label right off, but I saw the smoke trail, so that's good. And so I kind of dove to make it pull lead and dive down, and then I rolled up because I had plenty of energy. And luckily in this particular case, it couldn't follow, and so it detonated, I guess. And then I noticed that he was going underneath me. I was able to roll over and get a missile shot off. So, if you can see the missiles, you can kind of defeat them. Now, I know I was talking about cranking and altitude and stuff like that. I'm going to talk about more of that in future fights because I do it a lot. And I'm going to try to talk about why I think it doesn't work for me sometimes. Okay, so this is the first of my my many fights against F-18 Hornet on veteran with AIM-9Xs. And I'm just going to say AIM-9Xs are a beast. And we're going to see one particular case where they apparently need to be nerfed a little bit. Or fixed. I should say fixed, not nerfed. Fixed. Because at least according to Tacview, it was an impossible shot, as far as I can tell. So once again, cranking, gaining a little bit of altitude, not a lot of altitude. And what I was going to say about as I've watched these back, I think some of the reason why it doesn't work is because I'm not really content to sit out here or to continue cranking whenever they get into maximum IR missile shot range. I get impatient and I turn back in. So I'm not, a lot of times they are firing their missiles and I'm no longer cranking. So the missile can pull lead and come right at me just about. So anyway, at 7 miles-ish, I fired a very defensive PL5 shot and just trying to get this guy to have to evade a little bit, which is probably, I think at 7 miles, that's just a wasted missile, especially with these PL5s. These do not seem to be very good. Also, I then cranked off to the other side and allowed him to turn out of the way of the missile. He didn't even fire countermeasures. So, that was a completely wasted shot. Here comes an AIM-9X, and it is going to go straight up. I tried to maneuver, pop countermeasures. The AIM-9X very rarely bites in DCS, it seems. It does have pretty good rejection rates, I think, in real life, but um, anyway. Okay, reloaded that fight. This time I decided to try something a little bit differently. So, not at first though, still cranking. Okay, and here I started to turn back in. And I don't know exactly how far away he is, but um, all I know is, and this is one of the problems with the labels, the way I have them set up. I think you can have them set where it will show how far away they are, but I tend not, I don't like using that. I don't remember thinking back now. I thought it had his name on there, so it should have his range. Maybe I'm just not paying attention. But anyway, I don't remember knowing how far away he was. But here's an 8-mile shot. And once again, I'm going to turn and allow him to turn away from that missile a little bit. I don't know that it would have hit him anyway, even if I would have just kept flying straight at him. But I guess I need to try that sometime. Because once again, he didn't pop any countermeasures. And in real life, if that was a real pilot that knew anything about what they were doing, they would have seen the missile trail, I think. I don't remember. These PL5s may be a little bit less visible. I know that's a technology that has been worked on. Anyway, so I start just shooting away from him because I was going to try to build a gap, but I wasn't because I was also climbing. But I'm pretty high up above him, going away from him, and he's still closing on me, which I don't really know that, but in theory the JF-17 should be able to run away from the F-18, at least the way they're implemented in DCS. But because I climbed, he had a lot more energy than me. And then here comes the AIM-9X before I could even get on him and get a lock. So I fired mine off and then started trying to maneuver a little bit, and I defeated that one, luckily. Of course, my PL5 just doesn't even bother trying to hit him, which has kind of been the general rule that I've found is maybe I'm shooting them in bad cases, but that PL5 just doesn't seem to want to track. I'm going to talk about that more too. But this is the situation that I wanted to talk about. Okay? Because in the game, I thought, oh man, okay, the AIM-9X, it's pretty wicked. There's no way, and I did not watch this replay back in external view, but if this is at all what was going on in the game, if it's even close, there is no possible way that this happens, that this works. That thing would have nearly had to blown off his wing to turn like that. Now it wouldn't have really. I'm exaggerating, but I don't know. Like the pilot could obviously look back at me. If that were a real pilot, I don't think that the AIM-9 would allow the seeker. You'd have the. I'm used to the Viper. I don't really remember what it's like in the Hornet, but you're going to have an X. It's not going to be like a uncageable box kind of a thing. So anyway, this is another situation where AI needs to be fixed because this shouldn't be happening. The AIM-9X, I mean, it's already powerful enough, but like it's coming off the rail at nearly a 45-degree angle right there. Now again, like this Tacview only picks the missiles up after a certain point, and it's not always exactly the way it was in the game. I mean, we're dealing with computer programming and stuff like that, so and visual representation of things that are coded in. So anyway, I'm not buying it. I say I won this fight. I didn't really, but my missile I feel like should have had a chance to hit this PL5 here. It just went right by his plane, and then that AIM-9X really frustrated me. Same setup as before. Cranking, climbing. And this time I remember I was I was really trying to let him get in closer. I was trying to get him to fire the first shot while I was cranking. And I notice he just keeps getting closer and closer, which really messes with my patience. I'm pretty high up in the air. Now the problem is I'm going pretty fast, and the JF-17 doesn't like to maneuver very hard when it's going that fast. I mean, that's true, not indicated, but okay, so I'm cranking around now. You know, this missile shot is legit. A Hornet with an AIM-9X can do that missile shot. So, you know, I don't have any complaints here. We'll slow it down just a touch. So I started popping chaff and flares and maneuvering, and maybe I could have maneuvered harder. I don't really know, but I wasn't fooling the missile. So there's another death. Okay, same setup once again. I really want to get a kill on this guy, and I was really trying to figure out how to evade those missiles. So here, I didn't climb as high, and I thought I was trying to keep my energy just a little lower, but okay, no, this was a different fight. I decided I was going to turn in and just try my best to get a defensive missile shot off on him at a closer range. So this isn't terrible. It's at 3.5 miles-ish, and he hasn't fired on me yet, which is a little bit surprising. He did use countermeasures this time, and the PL5 just bit right onto that one. I'm not super mad at that, but and then as I'm not quite passing, but I'm trying to maneuver into a position where I can get another shot. And I keep hitting. I'm always hitting wrong buttons. This missile shot that he does. I don't want the missile. There we go. I'm a little skeptical of this one because he's pointed down. Now I think it's technically possible, and he would already have the. You know, I'm assuming that the real pilot would have gotten on target here and caged it, perhaps. And then the missile comes off, and it just has to go straight up in the air. And it's possible, but that's pulling a really heavy lead. I started maneuvering, and it hit me anyway. I don't know. It's possible. We're close, so I get it. Anyway, I'm a little disappointed by it, but okay, for some reason it's showing me still alive here, but I don't remember being alive at all. As in, like, my pilot was dead. Maybe the plane was... Oh, yeah, I remember. It was full of holes. The plane was full of holes, and I was dead. Okay, this is the final fight against the Hornet, and it's the best I did. This is the one that was in the video. And I just got low and fast. I was so mad, and I didn't know what else to do. I don't like being low, but I was going to be low and fast and just try to get him to fire a missile. Now, here, he hadn't been firing missiles at this range, so I don't know why he did all of a sudden, but he fired this missile. I didn't see it at first, and then, it popped up, and I was like, oh no, this isn't good. So I started maneuvering, and of course the JF-17 doesn't really like to maneuver that fast. It doesn't cut that hard, but I pulled a lot of pulled up a lot. I went vertical. I'm trying to do too much stuff at once. So, and luckily this missile did have to pull a lot of lead because I didn't cut back into it when he fired, which helps a lot. And so it's out of rocket fuel here, and so when I started to pull vertical, it just bled off quite a bit. Now I'm bleeding off too, but it doesn't have the ability to exchange out fuel for any kind of energy. It was still a very close thing. Okay, so it got within about 100 feet of me, very close still. So the best advice I think I can give at the moment. It's kind of pretty. I don't know. I'm fascinated by stupid stuff, I guess. The best advice that I think I could give you or myself at the moment is that, at least against AIM-9Xs, well, against a lot of missiles, if you haven't done anything to try to help to bleed their energy out, you're going to have a difficult fight. So, um, you constantly have. It seems like you've got to constantly be maneuvering your aircraft, thinking about missiles that are in the air. And that's just difficult to do. There's a lot to keep track of. There's a lot of situational awareness that you need to deal with. And if you don't have labels on, you can't really tell where they are. But to fight without labels, um, you have no idea. You've got to try to. And so I'm trying to fight with labels now, especially with BVR and within visual range missiles, just to try to get used to when to expect the missiles and when to maneuver. A lot of times I panic and I maneuver too soon, and then I'm out of energy, but while I was maneuvering, the missile still had rocket fuel, so it was still able to maintain its energy while tracking, and then I run out, and now I can't. I'm either just sitting way up in the sky, or I'm trying to dive to get my energy back, but it's not having to lead as much because I'm not going as fast. And so in the critical stages, the terminal stages of that flight of the missile, I'm not able to utilize the fact that it's out of rocket fuel anymore. So I hope all that makes sense. I don't want to wax poetically about it because then I'll never be done with this video or it'll be really long. But essentially, I got my nose around, and I know I'm in danger here because I know that he can get an AIM-9X off, but I had to point at him to get that missile. Now, I really wasn't expecting it to hit, but we had pretty much a double kill. Now, I was still alive in my aircraft, and he crashed into the pavement. But anyway, this is the best I did. I had to be happy with it because I finally killed him. My plane died too, and I probably should have. But anyway, AIM-9Xs, they're very mean. This is the second to the last fight. This is against a F-16 on veteran with AIM-9Ms. And this was not in the video. I lost this fight, but I tend to crank off towards the sun side. Just there's a few situations there where you'll get a little bit of benefit out of them looking into the sun with IR missiles and with their vision for that matter. So once again, I was cranking and climbing. I started to turn back in. I wanted to put a missile shot out there, but so I did, and then I cranked off pretty hard, and the missile was actually tracking a little bit, but he popped a flare and it bit hard, which it just seems like those PL5s love flares, especially from a forward aspect. And then he fired his missile, and it missed. Now I want to look at that in a little bit more detail. I was already climbing a little bit and rolling back when he fired this missile. And my energy was pretty good, so I popped countermeasures and pulled a little bit harder, and it just barely missed. So there's a little bit of luck there, but I was trying to keep my options open with my energy and maneuvering. So anyway, it worked out, I guess. He went pretty pure vertical, and here's where it fell apart for me. I was trying to maneuver to get my nose back around on him while not giving him a shot, which is difficult to do. And this is all new to me because I've been doing mostly guns only dogfighting, where you don't have missiles that you have to contend with. And so anyway, his energy's pretty low, but his speed is pretty low. He's got a lot of altitude on me, and he's starting to bring his energy back, which the AI can do pretty rapidly. I don't know that I should have turned this direction. I was trying to take away some turning room from him, but I'm thinking maybe I should have turned away or turned the other way. I don't know. So now his energy's really good. He's coming down, and he's got his nose on me faster than I've got my nose on him. So he popped some flares and then fired this missile, and I just don't have enough energy to outmaneuver it at this point. It's pointing down, so it's gaining a lot of energy itself, He's got a decent amount of energy, and I just don't. So, I think maybe at, let's go back here a little bit, maybe at this stage, right about here, where I pick him up and I notice he's basically diving on me and has his nose turned around better already. He's already in position where he could possibly start getting his shot lined up. There's a chance, maybe I should have rolled nose down and cut really, really hard. And I don't know this for sure. I'm just thinking if I point my nose down and go away from him, he still has more energy and he can still turn and pursue me. So I don't know that I really want to turn and go away. But turning on level and really removing my energy, trying to get my nose around on him, put all the coins in his purse, so to speak. And I think if I would have rolled really hard nose down, I've got the altitude to do it here, and then pulled really hard, he would have either tried to pursue me, and maybe it probably still would have been bad, but he also could have overshot. It might have kept me alive a little bit longer, but as it was, I didn't have the energy to do that. And here we have the final shot, or the final fight that you guys saw, and this one you did see in the video. Same setup, F-16C, AIM-9Ms, veteran, difficult. So I did climb. Now I'm dropping a little bit, so that might be wasted effort. I'm pointed straight at him. 5 miles, got the missile shot. He didn't really have to do much against that too either. I'm not impressed with these PL5s. In the hands of the AI, they seem pretty potent. But for me, they've just not. And, I don't think that they were intended as a forward aspect missile. I haven't looked them up yet, but there are a lot of IR missiles out there that just don't handle forward aspect well. That's not what they're really designed for. So, real quick, this reverse was dumb. At least I think it was dumb. It kind of works out in the end, but and I guess you could say that I had way too much speed going into that, and so maybe I needed to do some reversals and try to create more geometry that I was covering in the same amount of time as him. But I wound up losing a lot of my energy, so I dove to try to get my nose around. And the JF-17 is pretty good at this, actually, but I don't know that it's a good idea in a missile fight where it can really kind of get its nose pointed around, especially if you put your nose down and start using a lot of rudder. So it worked out beautifully, this maneuver, and I'm not gonna for 1 second act like I knew what I was doing whenever I did this. I was just trying to get my nose on him and get my plane behind him and get my nose on him. And so, the whole time, if he had an AIM-9Xs, I would have been dead. But the entire time, I was just thinking he's gonna get a missile shot on me. Right here, there's a potential for a missile shot. I don't know why he didn't shoot. Maybe there just wasn't enough time. And then here, he doesn't have the shot, and I don't have the shot. So now I feel a little more comfortable once we got to this spot. This up in here had me nervous. This, I'm a little more comfortable. And then I start noticing, wait a minute, he's diving with a lot of speed, so I'm going to get behind him. And then I just needed to make sure I had enough speed to keep up until I could get the missile shot. So right in here, he's popping flares already. And I'm feeling really, really good about my chances of finally getting an IR missile kill without dying on a Western jet. So there goes my missile, and it bit right onto the flare. It's apparently not that great of a rear aspect missile either. Sorry, people who are fans of the JF-17. I don't think this thing has the IR capabilities that it should have. So there, when I relaxed, that was me trying to get my gun ready. I had not gotten my gun ready yet. As you know, if you watched that other video, I still don't have it ready. I've hit the gun button right in there. So I'm thinking, okay, now I'm ready to go kill this guy. He's got 2 missiles. He didn't do all of this in game. That's one of those TAC IR or not TAC Tacview. Track IR is the other program. Um, so yeah, I'm starting to pull lead and my gun's not firing. Why is my gun not firing? I don't know. Oh yeah, I didn't hit the feed button. That's why. So my speed is very, very low. His is pretty low, but I'm actually okay with this. I mean, it's not the best situation. I don't like getting my energy that low. But anyway, I've got to get that feed button pressed. He didn't do all of that business either. So I'm still in good shape. I'm really close. Pulling lead again. But I'm building back energy. He's obviously going to have more. His loop was a little bit bigger. He started with more energy than I did. So, I'm trying to pull a little bit of lead. But right in here, he pulled hard. And so my energy is just as good as his, basically. I mean, it's very, very um, minimal difference there. So, and I really don't know why. I mean, obviously, I can't answer why he didn't fire his missiles at all. He fired no shots here, but I am weaponless except for my gun. So I'm not very good with this JF-17 Pipper. If you've watched my dogfighting videos, I'm still struggling to land shots there. So he got away, but my gun's working now. So that's good. I am, at this point, closing distance. And then he flew into my bullet spray, or I kind of managed to get some bullets on him and kill him. And so finally got a kill in an IR fight without dying in the JF-17. I guess I did against that J11. So that's 2, I suppose. But it was an interesting fight. I really enjoyed this one, and I feel like there is a bit to learn there. I'm still trying to learn this stuff, and I'm not going to be flying the JF-17 much longer. I'm just in the 2-week trial period. So, um, so I've got a few more videos that I'm going to do on it that I've already done and that I will record later. It's an interesting little aircraft. I really like it. And I might do kind of a thoughts video on it when I'm done. I don't want to add that to this video because it'll be buried. But anyway, I hope that you guys enjoyed that. I hope that you learned some stuff. I feel like I'm learning a little bit more about how to do this kind of stuff as I go. It's a slow process. But anyway, I hope it's helpful and interesting. And as always, happy flying. Thank you for watching.